What if you could run your business and live your life in a way that is not reliant on other people's formulas, on industry best practices, or whatever the standards are, but you could do it in a way that is correct for you, that feels aligned, and that is maybe something completely different from anything anybody else has ever done before. This is something that has come up for me recently because while I've been podcasting for years now, I just got to a place where just setting up my home studio and recording there in isolation was just not feeling aligned anymore. And it wasn't because I didn't have things to talk about, because if you know me or you've been around, you know I could talk your ears off about human design all day long, as well as other things. But I just didn't feel aligned doing it in that way anymore. So I took a break. And I wasn't sure how long that break was going to be, but now I'm back. And what happened was that the other day I watched a YouTube video and I responded. I had a really strong sacral response. And it was somebody just walking through nature in perfect lighting, imperfect sound, but just sharing their experience and the things that they have been contemplating. And it was really meaningful for me. And I decided, like, you know what? This is how I'm going to start recording my podcast. I am just going to go to the beach, hang out where I love to hang out with my dog, and be totally fine with the fact that the lighting's not going to be perfect and I don't know what the conditions are going to be any given day. And I'll do my best to make it sound as good as possible, and it's still going to be imperfect, and that is okay. But this is what feels aligned for me. I feel alive here, and this is how I'm going to be sharing my podcast in the future. So I have a question for you. I would love for you to share with me, what is one thing in your business or your life where you feel you have been following some kind of prescriptive formula that doesn't belong to you and that does not feel aligned anymore? And what do you want to do instead? Let me know in the comments. And while you're at it, I would love it if this has been meaningful for you so far, if you would hit like and the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, because it does really help my channel and I truly, truly appreciate it. So let's talk human design and the new era. If you have been around for a while, or even if you're brand new to human design, you've probably heard about the 2027 solar plexus mutation, a new global cycle that we're moving into in February of 2027. And we've already been in this transition for years, from the old era into the new era. It's not something that is just going to overnight take place and February 2027, we're in the new era. It's been going on for a while. And the shift is that the old era was very much based on logic and tribalism. You know, you have a boss and your boss has a boss and they have a boss, and it's this whole hierarchical thing. And you might be doing a job that, you know, is actually becoming eliminated now by AI. You know, this very typical, like very logical, repetitive type thing that isn't actually something that truly lights you up and that you truly love, that makes a real contribution, which is why AI is now coming in and taking over those things. I don't want you to think about AI as a bad thing, because even if you or somebody you love has lost their job due to AI, what is happening is it's actually creating this opening for creativity, for people to really move into making very unique, authentic contribution that only they can make in the way that they can make it. And we all need that contribution. So I believe AI is really just giving us all that opportunity. And while it might be really painful as we go through this change and this transition and people figure out what their new way of doing it is, ultimately it is for the best. Now, when it comes to the new era, this is really about making our unique, authentic, individual contribution and being sovereign over our decision-making process, not outsourcing our decisions to other people or to systems or gurus, but really trusting ourselves and knowing how to make the decisions that are correct for us and living our lives in ways that are truly aligned and authentic, which is really a huge part of what human design is about. Learning to follow your strategy and authority, really embodying what true, correct decision-making is for you, and then moving from that space. The other thing about the new era is, you know, some of the old era things you might have already noticed are crumbling. Institutions, these big hierarchical things, are starting to fall apart. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is chaotic right now, especially as we're going through that transition. Um, However, as we move into the new era, we are going to be moving into smaller groups and, working and collaborating with people versus, so much competition and trying to be the best all the time and trying to, step on others as we make our way, to the top, climbing the metaphorical ladder of the tribal hierarchies. This is really going to be about individualism, expressing your true authentic self, sharing your true self with others, and then breaking barriers and connecting with the right people and collaborating with the right people versus competing. Things that are old era are not necessarily going to completely go away. There are still certain, for certain people, certain things are really aligned. So, for example, if you are somebody that truly enjoys creating hooks for your short form content and working with people in that way, if that is something that is fun for you and it's aligned, then keep doing it. And if that is not aligned for you and you want to start your short form content or even your long form content in a different way, play around with what actually feels correct and aligned for you. So that's just one example of many examples. Some other ones things that are changing in the new era is things like certifications and credentials and degrees are not going to matter so much anymore. Because what really matters is that you are living your truth and that you are living in alignment and that you are truly walking your talk. So while there are still going to be, we've been seeing this for a while, right? Education is getting like ridiculously expensive. People are building their own businesses and making incredible amounts of money just from things that they've learned on the internet. Information is free now. You do not need to pay to get information. And, a lot of the old ways of being educated are, they were basically built for teaching you how to jump through hoops so that you could get a job. And you could live in this hierarchical old era system where you're climbing a ladder. You needed to have a degree to even apply for certain jobs. And that's no longer really true. Most people don't even really want a job. Most people want to be, I'm generalizing. So some people do really want a job because they want the security of a job. However, there are so many better ways of being employed, working with entrepreneurs and small businesses that really care about you, where you're not just like a number in their human resources books or, whatever big corporations do. But, coming back to education, it's like we were in old era education trained to become an employee. That's what it was training us for. We were paying a lot of money to get access to education. Education is free now. This is another cool thing about AI. It is really kind of flattening the curve of like what kind of access people have to what kind of information. You don't have to pay for information anymore. The internet has done that for us as well. So, those types of things like credentials, where you went to school and what letters you have behind your name are not going to matter so much anymore because a lot of places, first of all, you won't need them unless, of course, you are in the kind of industry, like if you're a doctor or a lawyer, that type of thing. Yeah, you're still going to need those credentials, right? However, even with those credentials, if you're not truly aligned with what you're doing and you're just, following the motions and memorizing some stuff and checking off some boxes because you were conditioned to be a doctor because that's what everybody in your family was, you're not going to be happy and you're not going to feel fulfilled. So that's one part of it. The other part is, regardless of what you're doing, collectively, our BS detector is rising. People are tuning into truth. What is true for you? What is authentic for you? They are recognizing more and more when you're just performing, right? When you're just putting on a show, but it's not actually who you are. And that comes through whether you have a degree or not. So in the new era, those people, regardless of what their education is, regardless of what the letters are behind their names, regardless of how many certifications they have, the ones that are really going to thrive and feel fulfilled and really impact other people are the ones that are living an aligned life, doing what they love, sharing their truth with others, and those that are just performing, not going to be doing so well. So I say all that to say is when it comes to your business and your life, how do you want to live it? What does freedom look like for you? What is it that actually lights you up where you truly, truly make an impact on others? Because that's what's really going to bring you the success and fulfillment that you desire in the new era. That's where you're really going to be making an impact. And this is what all my work focuses around. So if you want to learn more about that, I have a couple of free customized human design reports that I will link in the description for you. I would love to connect with you. And thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you have made it this far, I would really love to hear, like, what do you think about my new podcast studio and my new setup? I would love to hear it. Please share with me in the comments, and I will see you next time.